What's up, guys? It's the Resell Brothers here, and today we're going to go over the last week's worth of sales, November 19th to the 25th. It was record-breaking, $19,000, actually a little more than $19,000 in total sales. So we're going to go over that with you guys and show you some of the items that we're picking up and that are selling very fast for a lot of money, especially in the wintertime and Christmas Q4 season.
And stick around to the end of the video because we are going to go over the flops as well, the stuff that you shouldn't pick up. It's definitely good to see the good with the bad. So
let's get into it.
Here we did $14,751 on eBay, 365 items. Poshmark was $3,964 for 80 items. And Mercari was $451.30 for 20 items, bringing the grand total to $19,166. We had some crazy big sales. We actually had a sale on Poshmark that was our biggest sale ever for over $2,000. It had a bunch of different items in a bundle. We'll get to that and show you that, but we're going to run through these sales and show you what's selling on eBay and how we are fueling our reselling store.
First item, we have a Brooks Brothers two-piece suit. It is the Madison fit, and so we had to put 46R and 41. I believe that is because the 46 is for the blazer and the 41 is for the pants. So yeah, make sure you put both because especially if they're different. But like I said, the Madison fit, 1818 special selection, all that fun stuff. Sold for $95. Two-piece suits do really well for us. They do get returned a little bit more, but they are good sellers.
And anytime you see Brooks Brothers made in Italy, that's a pretty good sign that it's going to be a pickup, especially on a two-piece suit. Next, we have a Barbour vest. Now, this sold really quickly. I think it was literally like a couple of days it sold. Definitely a good pickup here. If you're not familiar, Barbour is a great outdoor brand, great brand pretty much in general. This sold for that $57, and it sold pretty much instantly.
Next is a Stone Island anorak jacket. If you see Stone Island, it's actually a really good brand, so pick it up. We just got this on Thursday of last week.
Paid $3.
And it sold, I mean, I think it was by a
couple days.
Saturday. I think it sold on Saturday. Yeah. So I was just looking at the light instead of the camera for some reason. Sold for $150.
Great sale.
Used.
We have a free top menswear brands to resell list. We just added Stone Island. We got a lot of good information on here. It tells you the sell-through rate, the average sale price, what sells best in that brand, along with the logo so you can find it in the wild. Really easy. 100% free. Link in description if you guys are interested in getting some free resources to help you in your reselling business.
Next is a marine layer. This was new with tags, but it was an online arbitrage pickup. If you're not doing online arbitrage, we definitely suggest it. There's a lot of good deals to be had out there. This sold for $60, and it sold really quickly in less than a week. Definitely, the marine layer is kind of hit or miss, but the more substantial pieces like sweaters obviously go for a lot more.
I've only had good experiences with marine layer personally. This is a Land's End barn chore coat. This sold for $38. It was flannel lined, and barn coats, chore coats, doesn't really matter the brand. This season they are in style, and people are buying them, especially the girlies.
The girlies?
Yeah, girls like it's a in thing this year apparently.
This is a J. Crew two-piece suit, but it has the benefit of having, wait for it, it's the Ludlow, which is actually really good as well, but it has Loro Piana wool. Now, Loro Piana is going to add some value. It's going to make it sell faster. It sold for $115 in about 1 day. Pretty much instantly sold. Maybe we underpriced it a little bit, but in our experience, we like to move the higher end stuff out. So definitely a good pickup there. If you see J. Crew Loro Piana, obviously it's probably a buy.
This is a Go Ruck pair of pants. The Go Ruck is I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of like a tactical military style brand, I guess, really. So it's Go Ruck. It's one word. Everything I've ever bought with Go Ruck has been really good. It's sold really quickly and for good money. This one sold for $40 and is sold very fast as well. Once again, this was another one that was bought on that Thursday and sold, I think, on Friday. So it was 1 day.
Next, we have a vintage Eddie Bauer chore coat. This actually sold for that $52.25, and it even had a flaw. Probably could have gotten $65, $70 for this if it didn't have the flaw, but it was also waxed, which is going to add a little bit of value. Definitely be on the lookout for these vintage Eddie Bauer, or pretty much any brand, honestly, chore coat, barn coat, with these corduroy collars.
I just said that.
Flying off the shelves.
If you recall.
I'm sorry. Why don't you talk about this?
This
that
one
I accidentally underpriced.
Is the thing I bought in our short. If you saw it, it's the brand Loro Piana. So it's not some other brand, and Loro Piana made the wool for it. But no, this is actual Loro Piana.
We get it. It was a good find.
Made in Italy. It was some really weird wool. So it was like almost like a tech feeling. It was almost like a normal jacket.
Did not feel like wool.
Didn't feel like wool, but it was made out of wool. New Zealand merino wool. What they're doing to the wool in New Zealand, I'll never know. But this sold for $400. How much did we pay? $13 from a thrift store, and we sold it for $400. Took an offer,
and I actually,
it could have got $6 for it maybe, but we priced it at $5, and it took an offer of $4.
I accidentally underpriced it. I meant to list it at $600, and then somebody gave a $400 offer because it was listed. I listed it at $500. Sorry, I meant to list it at $600. And somebody made a reasonable offer, and we're like, what the heck? Just take it.
They made a $300 offer, and I was like, I'm not taking $300.
Yeah.
So I countered at $400, thinking there's no way he's going to go up $100, and then he did. So
you never know. Next is a pair of Columbia cargo pants. This is definitely a bread and butter buy. It's the Omni Shade series.
Some might call this a step down from the Loro Piana.
Yeah, a big step down, but
not me.
Definitely a pretty good sale for us. Sold for $22.80.
Next is a pair of Duluth Trading jeans. Don't pick these up very often unless they are $5 or less. Because I mean, you have to be willing for them to get stuck in the algorithm and not get seen for a long time. So, but these ones weren't too bad. This one sold within the month. Actually sold really quickly. We took $22.80 for that.
Another barn coat. Wow, this is amazing.
No, let me talk about this one.
Okay,
I did all the info.
Okay.
So this was as you can see in the title, it was made in the 1950s, 1960s. That's what this LL Bean label looks like. It's very cool, I thought. It was not necessarily a barn coat. It's more of a safari jacket. I mean, if you have that patch up there, it was very lightweight. That style of buttons in the pockets and stuff. I was doing some research and saw it was more of a safari style, so that's what I went with. The main thing was that it was really, really old, 50s or 60s. No offense if you're that old, but
even has some stains.
It has a lot of stains on it, and I still paid up for it. I paid $15, $16, something like that. Sold for $50 on an offer very quickly. So I was just like, you know what? It has stains. Just going to get rid of it. I really didn't know what the price of that since it did have the stains, but $80 was what I decided with, and it sold for that $50 mark.
Next is a Vineyard Vines fleece. It's just a snap button fleece. Sold for that $24.70, and it sold really quickly, listed $11.24. If you're new to the channel, we do our SKUs. This is the number, the inventory number. This is how much the cost average for that trip was, and this is the date it was listed. 11/24 is the month of November 2024, so sold pretty much instantly.
This was an interesting one as well. This was a Johnny O Hanging Out hoodie. It was more of a lightweight, also terry cloth.
And what's that logo?
That means this is a logo for the Memorial Tournament that's here in Columbus, Ohio. We find that a decent amount because we are in Ohio, so people donate that kind of stuff. But like I said, Johnny O terry cloth. Great stuff. The Memorial actually kind of helps it out sometimes. It doesn't hinder value. It's a pretty big tournament. This one sold for $30, and it sold once again.
Quick.
I mean, listed the 21st, and it sold maybe the next day. I don't know. It sold very fast.
Next is a Kansas City Chiefs hoodie. No significant brand here, just an NFL team apparel. But we did get this new at tags for, I believe, $7, and it sold pretty much instantly for $22.50. All the sports team stuff is pretty good,
especially the Chiefs.
Yeah,
this is
having a good year.
This is a flop. I don't know if this is the end of the video, but this is a flop for sure. It's a vintage Knights of the Round Table polo. I think we bought this just style based, so that's where style based isn't necessarily always a great thing. Granted, I don't know if this is ever in style, so this might have been our fault, but it is an auto posture sale, which is why this is probably why it's in the video. It was listed originally at $9.22. It was relisted August 20th of 2024, so not too long ago, about 4 months, and it sold. So finally got seen, got out there, kind of like a rugby style. So auto posture, that recreate feature that we manually use, saved our butt again.
Yep. Instead of making no money.
Granted, it was only $12, but still.
Next, we have a J. Crew flannel. Definitely a bread and butter buy for us. Sold for that $20.90, and it sold really quickly. If you list these outside of this time of year, they take a while to sell, so keep that in mind.
This is a J. Crew,
Stadium cloth.
Yeah, I would say this is this like a peacoat? Yeah, peacoat kind of a thing. Sold for $36, and it sold very quickly again. So, man, this stuff was very fast movers.
Yeah, pretty much everything sold quickly this past week. It's crazy. Next is a vintage Nike windbreaker. We're going to have a little bit of overlap. I'm not sure if this was in the last video. The past 7 days kind of ran.
I don't think it was.
You might see a couple things in this. If you watched our last video, a couple things might run into it. But just because we did the past 7 days, and one of those days was in our last video. So just a heads up on that. If you see doubles, that's why. This is a vintage Nike windbreaker. Definitely good to have the spell out on the back. That's going to add some value. This sold for $38. And if you see this Nike logo, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a vintage Nike item.
This is a cool Old Navy corduroy jacket. It has the flap pockets. Always put flap pockets. For some reason, people like that. And they sold for $28.50 full price sale, and it sold once again within a couple of days of being listed.
I was actually surprised at how fast this sold.
Yep.
I thought it would take maybe like
I thought it'd be an offer of $20, but apparently not. All right, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes, the stuff that sold for a lot, and probably the reason we got to 19K. This is a Brioni shirt. If you don't know Brioni, now you know. Write it down in your little bookies for your bolos. This sold for $115.90 full price sale, and yeah, it's a very expensive brand. We got this new, we paid up for it. I think we paid what, $50 for it according to the thing, but we knew it would sell for that 115 range, and it did. So yeah.
Next we have a John Smedley knit polo. This was another item we paid up a little bit for. Paid $30, but we knew it was going to sell for a good amount. Sold for $95, and it sold pretty quickly. Sold the same month it was listed. I think it took a week to sell.
It says start time around about November 18th, so yeah, not very long.
Really quick sale. This is actually a really good brand. Not sure if you'll ever see it, but if you do, definitely pick it up.
Salvage jeans. These were a $38 sale, and it sold very quickly, once again, within a few days of being listed. So not only is this the stuff that sold for a lot, it's the stuff that sold very quickly this whole video.
Crazy week. Next is a pair of Jerry pants. These actually sold for $22. This is just a good example of a bread and butter find. Just a nice little pair of Jerry hiking pants.
This is a word... Careg, Don, Iran, says all kinds of stuff in there. I mean, everybody knows what these things are. Cable knit, nice, big, chunky sweater that's made out of wool. This sold for $71.25. I think it was a full price sale. Sold 100% full price. And
paid $5.
And once again, very fast mover.
Fast. Next is a Scotch and soda hoodie. It had this really cool...
Restaurant, it looks like...
Astro.
Yeah, it looks
sold for
planetary.
$22.80. Definitely a brand we are picky about, but the more substantial pieces do okay.
Wrangler Pearl Snap, $20. Everybody loves that.
Marine Layer sold for $40.
Another one.
It is a wool blend, which is why I think it's wool, right? Am I crazy? Does it say wool? Yep. No, it doesn't say wool. It is not a wool blend. It's just a knit sweater sold for $40. If it would have been a wool, maybe sold for a little bit more.
Got a bunch of these 511 tack tools from the local thrift. This sold for $32, and it sold very quickly again.
We sold some for 38. We sold a bunch of those. Some for 38, some for 32. I think we sold, what, 7 of those?
Uniqlo.
Uniqlo vest. This sold for $38, and it sold really quickly. Listed 11.24. This brand is something we don't pick up all the time, but if we see a down vest, we're going to pick it up.
All these kind of things, Uniqlo, Zara, a lot of the cheaper mall brands, if it's new and we can get it cheap enough, we'll take the chance.
Also, if it's down, obviously that adds a lot of value, so keep that in mind as well.
Under Armour, this is an Under Armour coat. Oh, got an offer. This sold for about $35. I think it was like 34 and some change. It's the infrared line, and it sold very quickly, and once again, within a few days. So I'll check that offer out while he does the next one.
Next is a J. Crew wool cashmere blend. Loro, I think it's Loro Piana, or am I crazy? No, it's not Loro Piana. It's just a wool cashmere blend. It is made in Italy. We normally like to include that in the title, but it looks like we forgot to here. Definitely a good sale. Sold for that $95, and it's a longer coat, so that's why it sold for so much. But yeah, these J. Crew long coats are pretty good, and it's the Ludlow. Ludlow seems to perform pretty well for our store.
Sold for $60. It's an Abercrombie and Fitch military style. We put military style just because it's got kind of that Air Force bomber kind of, yeah, all that kind of good jazz. It was a pretty decent shape. It might be a little worn, but not too bad. Still sold for $60.
Next, we have a Patagonia Sherpa fleece. This sold for $22. It sold pretty quickly. This is an example of a not super desirable Patagonia.
It wasn't in the best shape yet. I think it was worn a little.
Condition is not great, but it still sold. We'll pick this stuff up if we don't have to pay a lot for
Name will only carry you so far. Joseph A. Bank. This had some issues, I believe. I don't know. Yeah, look at the inside. Look at the inside lining.
Is that the Rita? Oh, that's a good sign.
Go up to that. Yeah, no, those aren't stains. Oh, is that a rip? Yeah, it's missing a button on the pants. I knew it was something because this only sold for $20. And normally two-piece suits from Joseph A. Bank, we can get around 40 to 50. I mean, it depends on what it is and what it's made out of. But this one was $20 for the missing button.
Next, we have a Rourke wool flannel. This sold for $20, and it sold really quickly at that price. Definitely. This is what the logo looks like. Rourke Revival. Pretty decent brand. Not anything crazy, but pretty good sale.
Carhartt, new with tags, almost weirdly like athletic shorts. Ripstop. It was very weird. I don't know why. I mean, we bought it because it was new, but it only sold for $13. Women's Carhartt.
We paid $2 though.
Yeah, it doesn't really do it for me anymore.
This is a brand called Mountain Ops. The sale prices aren't the greatest, but they do have a pretty decent sell-through rate. This sold for $22, and it sold within a couple of weeks.
RM Williams straight jeans. These are pretty old, made in Australia, sold for $38. Anytime you see a paper tag like that,
Moleskin, that's good too. That's
you might want to look it up.
Moleskin, Ranch, Western, all those.
Who found a mole and was like, I'm going to skin it?
This is an LL Bean merino wool vest. It's a good size. It's a 3XL. It's obviously going to add a little bit of value. We added the keyword waterfowl. We always add knit if something's knit. This sold for $60, and it sold really quickly at that price.
Johnny O, reversible vest. Sold for $30.
Is it blue or is it gray?
$32. Always take both sides of the reversible if you can. And a lot of times, the tag for those are in the pockets. So if you can find them in the pockets, that's where they are.
This is actually an overlap. So this was in our last video.
This one was? I thought only the Tom Ford was. Maybe not.
This is an overlap. They both sold in the same day. This is a Brunello Cucinelli suit. Now this is made in Italy. This is a really good brand. This sold for $400. Probably could have gotten a little bit more, but main point of the story is Brunello Cucinelli is a great brand. If you see it, you should definitely buy it in pretty much anything.
Another one that's an overlap. We told you about this one at the end of our last video as the little Easter egg, but this one sold for $500. I think we paid. It says 100. I'm pretty sure we paid $160 for it.
100. Oh, it was only 100.
It was only 100.
Yep.
Who would have thought? Yep. Took an offer. Fun fact: we sold another one.
Yeah.
Some guy decided he wanted to pay $710 for it, and then it took him a whole day to pay, then paid, then decided 8 minutes later that he didn't want it and said, "Hey, can I please cancel this?" So yeah,
If he would have just kept it, we would have been
Yeah.
close to
we
20,000.
would all been we would have hit 20,000. That
Yep.
was $700.
Yep.
Well, no, we would have been right under it. Never
Yeah,
mind.
real close.
Math is hard.
Next, we have this LO Bean Wool Fair Isle sweater. This sold for $40. We're buying a lot of LO Bean right now, especially the more substantial pieces. So definitely be on the lookout for any LO Bean wool, barn coat, outdoor wear. Definitely selling well for our store.
Peter Millar. This was I think, yep, it didn't say Crown Sport, but it had that cool crown on it, and it sold for $38. Fleece. Pretty cool.
Next is a Lacoste sweater. This sold for $33.25. It was a good size, 2XL. We're pretty much only picking up the big sizes or the more substantial in this brand.
Yeah, Lacoste is, I feel like every single time they've shrunk.
Yeah.
Christian LaCroix. This sold for $28. I remember taking the offer. It was a weird brand. I'd never heard of it, but it was cashmere, so we took it.
Next is a Princeton Tigers hoodie. We like to pick up those college team hoodies. Princeton and Harvard, the Ivy League schools, seem to do really well. This sold for that $28.50, and it sold really quickly. Not even really a substantial brand. What's the brand? Campus Drive. So yeah,
you never heard of Campus Drive?
Not even really brand specific, as long as it has the team.
This is a North Face
or school, I should say.
Not a down, but a puffer, and it had a logo on the
very little logo
the jacket on the vest, and it still sold for $27. And the guy actually sent a message saying, very good job," is what he said. Wow. After he got it. So
does that mean he liked it?
I guess.
This is a Joseph A. Bank silk turtleneck. This sold for $20, and as with the rest of this video, it sold really quickly in less than a month. Listed $11.24 and sold $11.24.
G4 wool. It was a size small, so I think we took a little lower offer, $39. Just because, why'd you look at me?
I was just looking at you.
Oh. Yeah, G4, if it's a wool kind of sweater stuff, it normally does really well. This one did do really well because it sold very fast, but you never know when somebody's going to look at it again, so we took that offer.
Next is a North Face Goose Down vest. It's 700 fill, so it's a little more substantial. This sold for $58, and it sold really quickly, listed $11.24. Even the women's North Face stuff and the Goose Down and this style, kind of like shiny, it seems to perform really quick.
What's up, guys? Hopefully you're enjoying the video so far. I wanted to hop in here and tell you about Auto Posture really quick. It's our software that we use for everything that has to do with reselling, cross-listing, auto delist, and the recreate feature. The recreate feature is the main thing that we've used that's really changed our business and helped us sell a lot more stuff. So use code RESELLBROS or use the link in the description of this video. 15% off, biggest discount that you can get with the Resell Brothers, and hopefully you guys will try it, enjoy it. It's changed our business. Hopefully you'll use it and it can change yours too. Back to the video. Eddie Bauer quilted heavy duty. It's a 650 fill. Once again, putting the fill, obviously the higher the number, the better, and the more it's going to sell for. This one sold for, I think it was that $52.25 sale, and it sold, we listed it the 16th, and it had to sell between the 19th and the 25th. So
quick.
Do the math.
This is a Barbarian polo. This rugby wear brand's pretty good. It's not going to sell for a lot, but it will sell quickly. This sold for, at least for our store it does, this sold for $19. I think
this is an example of a style base that actually worked out.
And it had a stain on it. Or it would have probably sold for $25.
These were RLX joggers, sweatpants joggers, sold for $30, and it sold, once again, pretty daggone quick.
And always include the word wicking. If it says wicking on it, it seems to sell a little faster when you include that. This is just a regular Goodwill find. Only paid $5 for this. Sold for that $28.50, and it sold pretty quickly in around a month, maybe. Actually, a little less, about half a month.
They weren't new. They're new without tags, so yeah. They were you could just tell they'd never been worn. They still had that starchy, stiff feeling to them. Mm-hmm. This was a barn coat, short coat that is burgundy. It was sold, returned and sold again.
There we go.
So it says the start time was the 20th. Really, it wasn't. The start time originally was like the beginning of November. So it sold twice in a month. The second time sold for $44. And yeah, probably could have got a little more. Probably could have got 50 to 60, but we'll take it.
This is an LL Bean all over, kind of like a high pile. It's called the Mountain Pile Sherpa. And these actually sell really quickly for us in men's and women's, but this was a men's, sold for $60, and it sold pretty much, not pretty, it sold in about 2 weeks. I was gonna say pretty much instantly.
Joseph Abood, new with tag, sold for that $28.50. Joseph Abood and Joseph A. Bank. The button downs, if first of all, it's a cashmere blend, that's kind of cool. But second of all, if they're new, we'll still buy their button downs if they're only like $5 or less, if they're new. So that sold fast.
This is an Under Armour vest. It's a full zip, which is going to make it a little more desirable. This sold for that $33.25, and it took around a month to sell.
Wilson's leather pants. These, funny enough, this guy lives very close to us, and he sent a message. He bought it on a Friday. Basically, they're leather pants. Sorry, I'll tell you the story after. These are leather pants. They sold for, was it, I think, 70 or 80?
Yeah, 70.
I think it was 70. Sold for $70. The guy lives like a town down from us, and he bought it on a Friday, saying like, and he sent a message on Monday saying, or Sunday night or Monday morning saying, I can't believe this hasn't made it yet. I'm like, dude, I haven't even shipped it. You bought it on a Friday night. You expect it to like show up miraculously? I don't know. Sorry. Some customers they just don't think. You know what I mean? They're just irrational about how quickly they want things to arrive. It's funny sometimes.
Eddie Bauer Goose Down. This is a really big coat. It's a size 3XL. It's really poofy. Sold for $57, and it sold in about a month. So as you can see, we pick up a lot of Goose Down stuff. Eddie Bauer, LL Bean, doesn't matter.
Polo Ralph Lauren. It's a jacket. It has, so if you see that collar up there, that's called a blade collar. So it has a blade collar. And probably couldn't fit that in the title, so we just wanted to put it in the description. It's a big size, and it sold for $30.
Next is a Brooks Brothers long coat. This was new without tags. I think it had like the little buttons that come with it, and it was still sewn at the bottom, so we knew it had never been worn.
Yeah,
as you can see here, it's still got the stitching on it.
Any guy knows.
Yeah. This sold for $100, and it sold in about a month. Definitely happy with that sale.
Anthropology, so we do buy some women's stuff. Cloth and Stone sold for $28, and it sold about a month.
Next is a cool quarter zip pullover, but this one has the benefit of having wool in it, so that's going to add a little bit of value. That made it sell a lot faster. It sold in about a month, and it sold for $28.
Just got a text from Taco Bell.
Oh no!
It said they're having a 10% off coupon with a code. This Polo Ralph Lauren. This was not a pearl snap. I thought it was a pearl snap for a second.
Westerny.
But it has that Western feel. $25, and it sold in about a month, a little less.
Anytime you can add Western to something like Polo Ralph Lauren, it's going to be a pickup. Oh, unless it's expensive, then don't buy it. Next is a Barstool Sports Call Her Daddy shirt. This is actually pretty easy to identify. I'm not sure what father means, but I think it says Call Her Daddy on it somewhere. Yeah, Call Her Daddy. So if you see anything Call Her Daddy, maybe look it up. This sold for $28 in about a month.
We had another one actually that sold too. I don't know if you put that in here, but anyway, this was a Woolrich vest. We can't see the price. On the side.
Oh, I think it sold for like.
Yeah, I think it was 33. Pretty sure it was 33.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And it is wool, so that's good.
Yep.
Next is a Salute to Service hoodie. Pretty much all these Salute to Service things sell between $20 and $30. We almost always pick them up if we can get them for $5. If we can't, we normally don't. This sold for $28.50 in about a month. This
was an Arc'teryx that sold for $230. Got this online arbitrage, I believe, from Arc'teryx itself. It might have been actually Arc'teryx. $125 sale price for them. Like we bought it for $125 and sold it for $230. So
over here on Poshmark, some substantial Poshmark sales that we had. Number one was this Vince vest. It was a bad size, extra small, so it took a really long time to sell. I think it was recreated. Anytime you see Vince in shearling or anything like super substantial, definitely look it up. This thing sold for $102. Definitely, I think it's sold before and was returned, which is why it took so long to sell. But definitely a good pickup there.
Scotch and soda vest.
Search.
Funny, the thrift store was asking an insane amount of money for this, and nobody bought it, so we got it for really cheap. Sold for $39.
Next is a Free People dress. This sold for $50. We paid $12 for it, so definitely a good sale. I know that the Free People maxi dresses do tend to sell a lot faster and for more money.
Next was this tuxie
Oh god,
jumpsuit, sweatsuit thing. It's all one piece. I don't know if you've seen our thrift haul of it, but it is just one huge, ginormous, weird thing. Sold for $59 though, and it sold very quickly.
We almost didn't buy it because we didn't want to mess with it. Next is a Brooks Brothers Madison wool sport coat. This sold for $59. We have noticed the Madison does seem to sell pretty quickly for our store.
Arc'teryx shorts. Nothing really crazy about these.
$36.
$36.
Next is a pair of J. Crew pants. They were new with tags, which is why they sold for so much. Sold for $52, and they were the Thompson.
Here's a big sale. That's another reason we hit a high number this week.
Of all sales.
Yep, this guy came in and made an offer on...
He made an offer we couldn't refuse.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Actually, we did refuse it. 6 two-piece suits by Canali and one blazer. They were all new with tags, and he came in with an offer. I don't know if you watched one of our last videos. I said to the guy making us offers on Poshmark, we're not taking that offer. Well, he made a higher offer, and he ended up...
And we took it.
And then we took it. So $23.50. We wanted to get more out of these each specifically, but it was on Poshmark. They're not going to be able to return it. And we still made well over $100 on each item.
Around $200.
So yeah, we took it and ran with it. And yeah, so it was good.
Back to eBay, we have this Patagonia Capilene long sleeve. Not a lot to say about this. It's sold for $30, and it sold in about a month.
GH Bass, we bought a lot of these out season, waited to list it. We don't normally do that, but we did with these, paid them around $5 for them, and it sold for $38.
We sold several of those too. Next is a Holland and Sherry suit. I believe this is a type of fabric. Don't hold me to that. I think the brand's Seville Row, and Holland and Sherry is the fabric, but Holland and Sherry is a really good thing to have in your title if it is involved with your suit or a type of material it's made out of. This sold for $40, and it sold in a couple of months.
American Giant, this sold for that $42.75, and it sold a couple months. What's it, the 3 months. Right around 3 months. American Giant, still good.
Zero Restriction Gore-Tex pants. I'm not sure why we didn't include Gore-Tex in the title, but we didn't. These still sold for $40, and they sold in a couple of months.
Well, we wanted to put Tour Series in the title.
Oh.
So Tour Series, it was Tour Series or Gore-Tex, and we already had waterproof in the title, so we went with Tour Series. Public Rec pants, these sold for that $61.75, and they took about 4 months as well. 4 months.
Next is a pair of Van Heusen pants. These actually sold for that full $30. Took a while to sell, but we made really good profit on those.
Madewell jeans. These were new without tags, I believe. Yep. I just got a notification. These sold for, I think, $40. And they were good style for Madewell. Don't buy skinnies.
Next is an Air Jordan t-shirt, but it's tie-dye. We always like to buy tie-dye stuff. It does really well for our store. This sold for $19, and it took a while to sell, but still made pretty good money. It's a t-shirt, so we probably paid like $3.
This is a Ted Baker coat that sold for, I hate their stupid sizing, but this sold for $46.55. And quick.
Ralph Lauren corduroy pants. I think there might have been a little bit of something wrong with these, but these sold for $20, and they took a while to sell, but they were a good size. They were a 46B, so the big stuff sells well.
Some J. Crew Primaloft. We've had these for a while now. We had a lot, so it took a while for them all to sell. This is another one to the list. This one sold for $42.
Next is this was actually recreated, so this is another example of how Auto Posture has been helping us. This thing was completely lost, and then it sold for that full $38. Just a pair of Skechers Bobs. Not really picking these up anymore, but we paid $5 for them, so definitely can't complain.
Peter Millar shorts. These were new with tags. These sold for $64, and they sold. Took a while actually. I forget.
Long time.
Yeah, long time. Oh, a little over a year, but I'd still pick them up.
It's a weird time for shorts.
I'd still pick them up. Don't care.
This is a Robert Graham sweater. It's got this cool artsy pattern. This sold for, how much did this sell for?
This sold for, I only sold for like 65.
Sold for $65.
We had it for a long time.
This was also recreated, so it was originally listed $723. It was recreated November 2024, and we actually sold it pretty quickly after recreating it.
Yeah.
So definitely recreate your old items, especially if it's a good item like this, you know it should have sold. Make sure you are recreating your items and getting them some new traffic.
Frank Shorter pants, these sold for $25. They're Gore-Tex, and they sold pretty quickly.
No, long time.
No, not
They were
that long.
recreated as well. Another recreate.
Oh, sorry. I saw the July 3rd and thought 2024 was decently fast, but it was a recreate. So recreate. Do it.
Oh, we have made it to the flop section of the video. This is stuff that we would not pick up again because it either took forever to sell or did not sell for hardly anything.
Or Christian bought it and it sucked.
Anyway,
That's what these were.
This is a Tommy Hilfiger skirt. It was new with tags. It's a small size. Definitely would not pick this up again. The skirts in general don't seem to sell very well, but especially a brand like Tommy Hilfiger in a smaller size.
It's coming back.
Not buying women. We're still buying Tommy Hilfiger, but not that specific kind of item.
This is a Victoria's Secret pink hoodie. It is
took forever to sell.
to sell. It's not necessarily in the greatest shape. It didn't photograph well. It sold for $10.
It was also recreated, so
also recreated.
That's why we sold it. Next is a Calvin Klein women's size medium shirt. It was new with tags, but still not a very good item. This was also recreated November 1st. So it sold in less than a month after being recreated, but definitely not picking up this kind of stuff anymore.
Sorry. Island Company shirt sold for $6. Linen, another example of sometimes style and stuff doesn't necessarily, or material doesn't necessarily carry it all the way to the end. So
not
$6.
Another flop, an Eddie Bauer women's vest, size extra large.
This was an issue stain.
Yeah, the item wasn't in the greatest condition. It's just not a super substantial piece, just a fleece vest. If it would have been goose down, it would have been better, but just not super substantial.
What fleece vest is goose down?
If it was a goose down vest, it would have sold. It would have been not a flop.
Fleece vests are still fine. If you get Columbia or Eddie Bauer fleece vests that are in good shape, cheap enough, this was only $2. We still made $5 on it. So
I call it flop.
It sold in less than a day.
Shut up.
Sligo pants. We're not going to buy these. This is a golf brand that never really gained any traction. This sold for $10.
Next is an Old Navy Henley. It's a waffle crew neck. This only sold for, I think, $6, and it took forever to sell. It was recreated October 11th, so it was listed $223, then recreated, then it still took a while to sell. So I'm not picking these up.
If it was new, we'd still consider it for really cheap, for like $2, but
not used.
Not used. American Eagle, same situation as the Old Navy. Waffle doesn't necessarily carry it all the way to the end. This was $2. It didn't take crazy long to sell. September 17th. So, I mean, maybe it's not horrible, but you're not going to make a ton of money on it. So.
Next is a Talbot's size medium blouse. It was new, but we're not picking up any small Talbot stuff anymore. This was recreated November 21st, so it's still really quickly after being recreated, but any item that takes that long to sell, I'm going to consider it a flop.
Last one, Orvis. This was a very old one.
Picture looks a little wonky.
Yeah, so this sold for, I think it was only like $12. If we'll buy Orvis like this again, if it's new and if it costs like
this was in high
less than $5.
We paid too much for it.
Orvis, not terrible if you get the right time of year, if it's vented, if you can use good keywords like fishing and stuff. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not going to sell quick. Obviously, this one didn't sell quick either. It was recreated, but definitely you can find way better things to buy with that $7. So
yeah, that was a mistake we made early on. We paid up too much for items that we no longer pay up for. That's something that we have learned.
This same shirt for $2, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
probably not.
If we're having trouble finding stuff that day, maybe. But you know, if it was new, like I said, for sure, but not used.
All right, guys, this is the end of the video. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching to the end. We appreciate you. Leave a comment, like. It helps drive the algorithm. We really appreciate it. Maybe comment your best sale of the week. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Also, happy Thanksgiving to everybody here in the U.S. We're thankful for a lot of stuff this year. Thankful for our families.
I'm thankful
for yeah, kind of. No. I'm thankful for, like I said, my wife, my daughter, my brother, my mom, all that kind of stuff, and all you guys and the in-laws, everybody. And
comment what you're thankful for.
Yeah, that's cool too. Yeah, and thank you, Lord, for everything you've given us. So let's have a good rest of the year. Finish it out strong. We both pointed.